because it kind of looks like, oh, she's so cute. She was in the sun. Hey guys, welcome back to the Clean Beauty Code. I'm so excited for this video. We are doing a new bronzer review. We are talking about the new LYS Beauty Cream Bronzer that they just launched. And I'm so excited, and you guys were super excited too. The second it launched, you were like, please review this. And I literally grabbed it, been trying it out, and I have some thoughts. I'm so excited to share them with you guys. We are going to just jump right into this video because I really want to just stop yapping so much at the beginning of my videos, but I can't stop flapping my dang gums. So let's get into the video. If you're excited for this video and more videos like this, then please like and subscribe. And without further ado, let's get into this LYS Beauty Cream Bronzer review. All right, you guys, let's get into it. The LYS Beauty Cream Bronzer. So this is the component. This is what it looks like. I also have the powder bronzer in front of me here just to show you. So most of their components are shiny, except their cream blush, which I love. That is such a long-lasting blush, but this one also isn't shiny like that. So let's get into the review. Let me push a little bit of the product up so you can see. So this is what it looks like. Just a stick bronzer. I love a stick bronzer because it's just so easy to use. Not that ones that are in pots aren't, but it just is so much easier to use in terms of like you can just like kind of apply it to your face right from the bullet. I know maybe that's not everyone's favorite way to apply stuff, but you can also apply it to the back of your hand and then take a brush or a sponge or what have you, or even just apply a brush or touch the top of it with a brush or whatever. But I really enjoy this. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put it on my face on this side just directly from the bullet, and then I'm going to take a brush and also apply it to the sides of my face just so you can kind of see the difference of how it plays with a little bit of foundation underneath it. So the shade I got in this is the shade Harmony, and I had a hard time, not hard time, I was trying to get like the right shade because I tend to go for bronzers that are less intense, if that makes sense. Like I don't really like a very intense bronze on me. I feel like it looks a little bit crazy. On other people it looks so cute, and on me it's like, girl, are you okay? So I wanted to find something that was like the perfect in-between kind of shade that would work in summer, but also work in like the colder months when my tan is wearing off. I'm not tan right now at all really, but I wanted something that would work when it gets a little bit colder, because I rarely have a tan year round. I really only have a tan for like maybe a couple months of the year. So I'm going to apply it to my face and stop yapping because we've been talking for way too dang long. So I'm going to apply it just directly from the bullet. I'm just going to apply a little bit just around my face, just like that, so you can kind of see what I did there. And I'll apply it on my nose and stuff at the end. So I'm going to take this brush here. This is just like a easy, you can use this brush for like foundation or whatever. It's not super fluffy, but it's not super dense at all. And I'm just going to blend it out. Now this bronzer is nice because you don't have to kind of swipe, if that makes sense. And sometimes that can be not a miss, because I don't want to say a miss because I don't necessarily think miss is the right word, but it can be kind of an issue, let's say, with cream bronzers, that when you swipe it kind of picks everything up underneath, but you can just dab this in, and as you can see, it just looks so, I'm trying to adjust the mirror here, really pretty. So that was that applied there. I didn't do too much work. Let me just blend the top here so it doesn't look so crazy. It didn't take a lot of work at all, and it definitely gave a nice bronze. So now what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to take it with the same brush that I just used and apply a little bit on the brush and then apply it to my cheek, so you can also see how it applies like that. And I feel like when I apply it just with the brush and I don't apply directly to my face, I actually get a little bit more pigmentation just with the way that it kind of blends and the way it sits on the brush, but you can always apply more. And I really don't apply a lot of bronzer ever. So that is kind of, this side is the side where I touched the top and then applied it to my face, and this side is the side where I kind of applied directly from the bullet. I'm going to apply a little bit more on this side to kind of even it out a bit so you can kind of see. And you can really do like a light touch with this, and it isn't going to be like, it layers nicely and it blends out really beautifully, like you can see here. Now I didn't bring it too far forward. I am going to apply blush and then we're gonna move on with the rest, but I just wanted to kind of show you what it looks like. Now what I do want to do is take a little bit on my nose. I like a little bit of bronze on my nose and just blend it down. just a little bit, because it kind of looks like, oh, she's so cute, she was in the sun. I do like bronzer on my nose more than I do like blush on my nose. Sometimes I feel like blush on my nose can look a little crazy. On other people it looks like amazing and you're like, girl, why are you so cute? But on me it doesn't really. So I'm going to swatch this on the back of my hand just so you can kind of see what it looks like. So again, this is the shade, what is this, Harmony? Yeah, so pretty. It has like, it's not super warm, and I think that the thing that LYS Beauty does really, really well is they don't make their products skew too warm. They have obviously warmer options for people who require something a little bit more warm, but nothing is looking Cheeto dust. None of us are looking like we just jumped into a bag of Cheetos. We're not looking like we just got into a flaming hot bag of Cheetos either, because some stuff skews super, super red. And it doesn't also have like an ashy undertone. It's kind of like that perfect neutral that I feel like a lot of people with darker complexions are looking for. And just like for whatever reason, you're looking for the shades and you can't find them. They're unavailable. They're not available. And it's so freaking frustrating. And I think also a lot of people with lighter complexions want something that's a little bit more neutral too, because it just, neutral is super flattering for the most part on a lot of different complexions. So next I want to swatch just the shade Courage for you that I have in the powder. And I really do enjoy the powder that they have. It's just really, really blendable and really, really, really blendable and really, it's blendable and it melts into the skin, which I find to be really nice for a bronzer in general. So you can kind of see. So you can definitely see that there's a tone difference here. And I do like the warmth that Harmony gives me. It's just so nice. I really, really enjoy the shade Courage. And I thought, oh, I have Courage in the powder. Love it. Why don't I get Harmony in the stick? Because I just, and then I can like layer, you know what I mean? The best. Okay, so now I'm gonna just apply some blush really, really quick, and we're gonna go and wrap this up and get into the review and all of that jazz. Okay, you guys, we are done. So let's move on. I added a very little blush because I'm really liking the way the bronzer is looking. And sometimes you just want to be like bronzed up to the heavens. So let's get into this, like compare and contrast a little bit here. So first things first, I kind of want to compare these two together. So I definitely think obviously one is cream, one is powder. They're both great though. The powder melts into the skin. It is really nice. What I will say is I find that the shade that I picked when I apply it to my cheeks with a brush sometimes can be a little bit intense depending on what time of year or like what my look is. Not intense. It's like a little bit darker than what my preference is, but it's beautiful. I love to use this. This works really well with also a sponge, like going over the top. It's just really, really nice. It works well with a more dense brush. It works well with a more fluffy brush. Really, really like this. So let's talk about this. So this is a very, very creamy bronzer. This cream bronzer is so nice. It just kind of melts into the skin, and it doesn't, as you saw, like it didn't pick up any of the foundation underneath when I applied it straight from the tube or when I applied it straight with like a brush. It was really, really like melt into the skin easy, and you didn't have to tug at it to move. Sometimes I feel like stuff isn't creamy enough for the fact that it's in a tube, and sometimes you feel like you're almost like pulling, if that makes sense. This doesn't have that, which is really, really nice. And this is definitely the type of formula I prefer for a cream bronzer, especially in a stick. I find that this is really long wearing and long lasting, and it doesn't patch off. It wears well with powder on top. I've also used powder underneath it, which I know isn't everyone's favorite technique, but I do really enjoy that as well. And they both played really well with the product. And I find though, if I put powder underneath it, I like to apply it directly with a brush on my face and not apply it with like directly on my face from the bullet, if that makes sense. I just find that it kind of melts a little bit easier when I apply with a brush and then kind of dab it in if I'm doing powder underneath it. However, both ways are beautiful. You can also actually use it with a sponge too, and that's a great way as well. I find with sponges, it almost like doesn't give me enough pigmentation with cream bronzers in general. So I like to use a sponge afterwards to kind of clean up the edges if I want to use a sponge at all. But I really, really enjoy this. I find this to be really creamy. It just melts into the skin. It looks beautiful. I mean, I think it gave me a beautiful, very natural looking bronze, and that's my vibe. That is the energy for Life Forever. A natural, nice bronze that isn't over the top. So now let's move on and talk about this comparably to other bronzers that I have. I'm not going to get too crazy, but I'm going to kind of talk about how it compares. So right now, my favorite stick bronzer besides the LYS Beauty one is the Persona Cosmetics bronzer. It is just so good. So I'm going to swatch this, and these remind me a lot of each other because they are very creamy. What I will say is I do feel like the LYS Beauty one lasts a little bit longer, but it's not anything crazy where I'm like, oh, the Persona Cosmetics one is trash. It's just, I feel like it's a little bit, it doesn't last as long. This is the Persona Cosmetics bronzer, and then this is the LYS Beauty bronzer. And as you can see, the LYS Beauty bronzer is just a lot more neutral. It also is a little bit lighter, but I like the neutralness of the LYS Beauty bronzer a touch more than I like the warmth of the Persona, but I feel like I can make both of them work, and I really like both of them. Again, I feel like the Persona Cosmetics one lasts a little less long, but they both are beautiful and wear really, really nice and are just really blendable and like melt into the skin, which is amazing. If you prefer something a little bit more neutral, I would definitely go LYS Beauty, just because I feel like the Persona Cosmetics skew a little bit warm, but not in a bad way, because sometimes there's a need for a really warm bronzer and sometimes there's a need for something that's a little bit more neutral, and I feel like neutral for me is usually the vibe, because once you blend it out, it doesn't actually look crazy neutral. It has like that perfect neutral warmth. Like, I don't know, it's really, really nice. So these I would say are very much, from what I'm going to be talking about today, the most comparable in every way, in terms of wear, in terms of the formula and all of that. Next, let's move on to this. So I really wanted to talk about the LYS Beauty Bronzer versus the Say Beauty Bronzer, because I feel like a lot of people love this. I love this. I'm a huge fan of this. Now, this, again, is not a stick, so I really don't have that many stick bronzers, if I'm going to be honest, but I have a lot of cream bronzers. So this is the Say Beauty Bronzer, and the shade I have in this is the shade Medium Bronze. And I would say, I'm going to move the... I would say that the Say Beauty bronzer has like that similar tone as the LYS Beauty bronzer. So if you're a big fan of the tone, especially of the tone, what is this, medium bronze from the Say Beauty bronzer, you probably really will enjoy the shade Harmony from LYS Beauty. This is beautiful. It melts into the skin as well. I would say that the Say Beauty bronzer has a little bit less slip to it, which I actually enjoy, or not slip, it just has like, yeah, a little bit less slip, a little bit less sheen to it. However, they're very, very similar. So I just blended them both out so you can see, and you can see side by side, they're very similar. I would say the Say Beauty one is definitely a little bit lighter, but they're both really beautiful, creamy. Again, this is in a pot, so if you're a big fan of the Chanel bronzer and you want something more affordable, but also with a couple more shade options, I would definitely go here. This is a beautiful bronzer, and comparably, I would say that they're both really, really great. Again, I just love a stick bronzer, and if I can get something in a stick, especially for traveling or just like everyday life, I would, like, I love it. So good. But, you know, pot bronzers are good too, as long as it works, right? Okay, so the next I'm going to talk about these two really quickly. So these are both like little... they're a little bit different, but I wanted to talk about them. So I would say that both of these bronzers, so I have the Tower 28 bronzer, and this is the Tarte bronzer, and this is in the shade... the Tarte bronzer is in the shade Seychelles, I think, and the Tower 28 bronzer is in the shade West Coast. I'm a huge fan of both of these. The Tower 28 bronzer is not matte. It has a little bit more sheen to it, which, like, I love a little bit of like shimmer in summertime. This is beautiful, and I would say from longevity, the LYS Beauty one still has a little bit more longevity. So does the Persona and so does the Say Beauty. But the Tower 28 bronzer is pretty long lasting. I would say it's like ever so slightly less long lasting, but still a little bit less. But beautiful nonetheless, really, really good. And the Tower 28 one, I would say again, it's similar in consistency to the Say Beauty bronzer and the Chanel bronzer, very similar in that same vein. However, I will say, I think from a tone perspective, if you have really, really deep skin, they have a beautiful, super, super deep bronzer. But what I will say is I think that other tones are kind of a little bit less when I'm comparing, right, the collection to like the Say Beauty, the LYS Beauty, whatever. The tones here are not like the lighter tones are a little bit lacking, like almost a little bit gray, but it's still a beautiful formula and I really enjoy it. And if you can find a shade match in this, it's definitely worth it. I think I could have gone up a shade, but the shade up looked very warm, like way too warm for me. Now I would say the most like comparable bronzer here is obviously going to be the Persona Cosmetics one in terms of formula. In terms of shade range, none of these are comparable because like LYS Beauty is unmatched in shade range, just giving you all the options, giving you the really, really deep shades that people are craving, wanting brands to come out with. And everyone's like, oh no, sorry, we can't do it. You can do it. You should do it, girl. Time to step it up. We are all waiting. LYS Beauty showed us, Fenty showed us, a bunch of different brands showed us that they can do it. So like it's time to step it up. But I am a huge, huge fan of this. I think it looks beautiful. I think it gave me a beautiful glow. It was very creamy, melty, and all of that. And I think I might actually grab the darker shade just for when I'm super, super tan, because there will probably be like 1 month of the entire year where I'm actually really tan for me. But then the rest, I'm definitely going to be grabbing the shade Harmony. I'm a huge fan. I love the creaminess. And I definitely think if you are in the market for a cream bronzer, try her. She's so good. She's so good. She's so like, I love the fact that it doesn't pick up product underneath. I find that to be a really big challenge a lot of the time when it comes to bronzers. And LYS Beauty said, no ma'am, we're not going to be picking up product underneath. We're not going to be serving patchiness. We're not going to be doing anything besides serving a really good cream bronzer. Highly recommend checking it out. I'm a huge fan. And I know I'm actually going to get the question which one I prefer. And in general, I prefer a powder bronzer. However, I am unbelievably impressed with this formula. So although I'm more of a powder bronzer kind of lady, just because it's easy for me to use and I feel like sometimes I struggle with creams picking up too much product underneath, and it's not like it's a blush where I kind of just focus it here. I do apply it kind of all around, sometimes on my jawline, so then it ends up just making my whole face look patchy. But this one didn't do that, so I think I prefer the cream bronzer for now at least, but when it gets a little bit colder, I think I'm going to be grabbing the powder bronzer a ton too. Huge fan. Let me know down below, have you tried it? If you haven't, are you gonna? If you have, what are your thoughts? Leave them down below. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.